Change Your POV Podcast is about building confidence in your own beliefs, morals, and opinions while challenging yourself to be open, humble, and curious about things that you are unfamiliar with, don't have experience in, or straight up disagree with.
We will explore concepts and ideas that will challenge you physically, mentally, and spiritually. Personal introspection is among the greatest skill sets you will learn to hone. The foundation of your success is rooted in trust, gratitude, and forgiveness.
So join us as we explore things that we are unfamiliar with, strengthen things that we are, and are always challenging ourselves to become better.
Change Your POV Podcast, where perspective is the vantage point of success. All right. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. Is that what it is?
Maybe.
I don't know. Happy Sunday morning to you, sir.
Happy Sunday.
It is the 29th.
Or Wednesday.
Yeah. If you're listening to this at the time of recording, it is Wednesday.
Have a happy Wednesday morning, everyone.
Which is what, December 2nd?
Holy shit, really?
I think, let me look.
December.
Yes,
hey, 2020 is almost over.
Almost is.
It's almost over, everybody.
Does that mean COVID-19 also is almost over?
Probably.
Probably not.
Maybe. I don't know. Christ. Maybe.
Well, welcome everyone to the show. It is Sunday at the time of this recording, which is the 29th of November. So we are literally only 2 days post our turkey coma, right? Thanksgiving happened a couple days ago.
Yes.
And it was splendid. Now, what's your thoughts, man? Do you think people abided by all the recommendations regarding social distancing and all that?
Obviously not everyone.
Do you think everyone was like, screw this, we're still going to get together as a family and we're just going to have a huge outbreak in like a week from now?
No, I don't think so. I think that most people actually did what they were comfortable with doing. And if that was... So I'll use my family, for example.
Yeah.
We have a core bubble of people that we associate with constantly. The circle of trust.
There you go. Right.
I guess.
The Illuminati.
Right. I think of that Meet the Fockers.
Yeah, right.
Remember, or Meet the Parents or whatever it is.
The circle of trust.
The circle of trust.
Greg.
Are you inside the circle of trust or are you outside the circle of trust? So we have 11 people, and that includes 6 adults and 5 children. Right?
Are they numbered?
Yes.
So
I am number 1.
So when the reaping comes, you can just put everybody's number.
It's a matter of who can run faster than the others.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reaping. Holy hell. But, so we did that. Now, usually we have like 30 people, 25, 30 people. It's nuts.
Right. So 11 is pretty pared down then.
Way pared down. But we literally we have dinner together probably 3-4 nights a week.
Yeah.
So we're around each other all the time. The only people that head outside that circle are me, who I go to work, but I literally only interact with one person. At the very most, I interact with 3 people in a day. Right?
Wow.
I mainly sit in an office. I'm very isolated. Right?
Yep.
Except for, when I go to the grocery store and all that stuff. But my wife as well, but again, very isolated at work. She only comes in contact with probably in any given day 10 people or less.
Yep.
And then my brother-in-law too, because he's also a teacher, but there's like no kids in school.
Yeah, so you do remote teaching?
And for the most part, but he's been going in to school. But even with that being said, when I'm in contact with anybody at work, I am socially distanced and face mask on. Not because that's what I want to do, because that is what is required.
The rules, yeah.
Yes. And I am not a rule follower, as you and I know.
Yeah, right.
But there's just times when it's better to play by the rules than to push back. And I've already lost this battle multiple times, so I'm not... I will win the war, but I'm not going to win this battle.
Yeah, my place of work there, we've been walking around. The rule is if you get up away from your desk and you're walking anywhere, whether it be to the bathroom, the break room, to the copy machine, whatever the case, you got to have your mask on, right? And there's hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes all throughout the building. But once you get back to your desk or your office or whatever, and you're settled in, you could take your mask off. But if somebody comes to talk to you, then you both got to put your masks back on, all that fun stuff. So they've been doing that for a while now, and again, there's a lot of opinions both directions on this about masks. Are they helpful? Are they not? Or whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think any preventative measure that you do, I think, is helpful. And I think for me, the mask isn't so much me like preventing me from breathing all up on people. It's really just it keeps me from like sticking my fingers in my mouth and shit that would probably otherwise be a conduit for the infection into my body, right? But of course I got glasses, so that's hard because I'm taking my glasses off and wiping them off, and sometimes it's easy to forget about it and get your fingers all up in your eyes, which does the same thing. But it is what it is. So recently, we had call it a minor outbreak in the office, and there's been several confirmed cases, and they just released a notification saying that, hey, everyone's got to work from home now again, because we were working from home at the beginning of the pandemic, and then we gradually started to bring people back in the office. And then we just had this big outbreak, and it was multiple people, different departments. And so, poof, now, overnight, here we are now working 100% from home, basically. So, it's just one of those things where, my wife and I were talking the other day, and we were like, is this ever going to be over? Are we ever going to get back to what things used to be?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't honestly see how it ever will. If we're going to keep reacting to it this way, I just don't. I mean, will it fizzle out at some point? I don't know, maybe. But I mean, so often you hear people try to compare it to the flu, right?
Right.
And the flu doesn't go away. I mean, and with the vaccine, it doesn't go away either. So, I mean, we've had a flu vaccine for 80 years.
Yeah.
And flu kills people every single year.
That's right.
I mean, lots of people.
So what do you think people did in the past relative to Thanksgiving and the pandemic? Well, I'm glad you asked, Bennett, because this transitions right into our first topic of today. And I found an article that I found pretty, not only timely, but pretty interesting. Thanksgiving in 1918. What happened in 1918, Bennett?
We had the Spanish flu.
That's right. Spanish
I had to think
flu.
about that for a second. But...
Thanksgiving in 1918 took place during a deadly pandemic. What can it teach us for Thanksgiving in 2020? Well, let's find out. So a lot of people think that, what we're going through today is unique and it's new and it's, never happened before, but au contraire. This is nothing new in the scope of history. Now it's new to us. Because I don't know do you know many people that lived in 1918? I don't.
No.
Right. So this is new to us. This is our generation's, quote, Spanish flu, but it's called something different. But, we're not the only Americans to have gone through this. So what did our ancestors do, in 1918, which is about, I don't know, close to 100 years, a little over 100 years ago now, right?
Right.
The month before, the so-called Spanish flu was blamed for killing 11,000 people in Philadelphia. The epidemic that ultimately would claim an estimated 675,000 American lives, which is probably a tremendously understated number since it didn't include countless deaths involving pre-existing conditions, was on fire in the fall of 1918. Now, to bring it into perspective, that's 675,000 confirmed cases. In America today, with the COVID-19, we're just north of 250,000, 250,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure our numbers are probably more accurate than they were 100 years ago in terms of the way that they're capturing those numbers and cataloging them. So they got underestimated numbers at 675,000. So you could probably say they were pushing north or close to 1 million people dead of the Spanish flu, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, of course, the population of the United States 100 years ago isn't what it is today. So in terms of percentage-wise, it's a much higher percentage of deaths.
Way more.
Yeah. Yet on November 28th, 1918, the nation celebrated Thanksgiving exuberantly. How else can you celebrate Thanksgiving? Quote, "The best Thanksgiving in history of the city," proclaimed the headline in the New York Sun. Philadelphia, despite a day-long chilly drizzle, was the venue for parades, sporting events, and flag raisings, the Inquirer reported. "This is the annual Thanksgiving proclamation. President Woodrow Wilson didn't even mention the flu, which he later contracted himself." Surprising. I mean, so did our president, contracted COVID-19, right?
Correct.
COVID-19 in casting its long, persistent shadow over Thanksgiving in 2020, but for a variety of reasons. The Spanish flu didn't have a similar effect in 1918 on Thanksgiving or the subsequent holiday that likely had consequences later. The Great War had ended 2 weeks earlier, and as the University of Pennsylvania historian David Barnes pointed out, since this was the war to end all wars, World War II wasn't yet a gleam in the national eye. And while the flu was still killing, it appeared to be in retreat. In the words of a historian, Kenneth C. Davis, author of quote, "Don't Know Much About" series, the national attitude was, quote, "We have a lot to be thankful for. The war is over. We're still alive," end quote. He added that by Thanksgiving, people were anxious to forget the epidemic that they didn't quite understand in the first place. The coronavirus and the Spanish flu is a misnomer since it might have started in Kansas.
Where in Kansas?
I don't know.
Fort Riley.
Was it really? Fort Riley?
So there's a, just to give you this, I mean, I know you're still reading, but
Sure.
I know that there is it's Camp Funston, I think it's called, on Fort Riley. That was where the first known case was. And so they believe that maybe infected soldiers spread the disease to other military camps across the country, then brought it overseas.
Oh. So the soldiers were deployed somewhere, contracted it, and brought it home.
Yeah, because in March of 1918, because the first case was like March 11th.
Yeah.
In March 1918, 84,000 American soldiers headed across the Atlantic.
Right.
And then were followed by another 118,000 the next month.
Ooh, geez.
So, duh.
So it's basically World War I soldiers coming, redeploying
Right.
back home, bringing us back home.
Or we, it's kind of like the way that the China virus is looked at. China brought it here. This was our China, our Wuhan moment.
Exactly.
Where we infected the rest of the world.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe it was a chemical weapon.
Ooh, maybe.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Because I roll in the conspiracy theory stuff. So, but it's one of those things. You kind of got to look at it from all angles, right? That doesn't mean I believe conspiracy theories. I'm just saying.
Well, they were, but the point is, in World War I, they were experimenting with a lot of that stuff.
A lot of shit. Where was it done? I don't know if it was any at Fort Riley.
Right.
But maybe. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah, mustard gas and just nasty shit that they were.
All kinds of shit. Anthrax, all that shit.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty scary. I would hate to have fought in that war, man.
Ooh, baby.
right?
World War One was no joke.
Well, even Hitler himself fought World War One, and he was actually a casualty of a gas attack.
Yep. Fucked him up for the rest of his life.
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
too bad it didn't kill his ass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Too bad it didn't kill his ass.
Oh, no kidding.
Some prophetic shit there.
Yeah.
But
Anyway. So Hitler was a corporal during World War One, and was injured a couple of times, and
I mean a German war hero at that.
Right.
Not just like some bullshit. Like, didn't he have the German Cross or whatever
I'm not sure. I want to say
Iron Cross or whatever
something.
the hell they call it. Some at the very least, maybe not like the Medal of Honor, but like the Navy Cross or the Distinguished Service Medal. Something like you wear that shit into a bar, you're not paying for drinks.
Right.
That kind of medal. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So,
although with a mustache like that, I think I'd still make him buy his own drinks.
But at the end of the day, what do they say? Every man's terrorist is someone's hero.
That's right.
So.
That's right.
Well, damn.
In so many ways, they are as different as Thanksgiving of 1918 and Thanksgiving of 2020. The biggest contrast is its ferocity. In October 1918, the flu claimed as many lives as 4,500 in a week and 13,500 in September through December period in Philadelphia. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, so far just under 2,000 deaths have been attributed to COVID-19 in the city. So it's about half, if you're doing, splitting the difference. So the Spanish flu at this time, 100 years ago, was twice as bad as the COVID-19 is today.
Yes, right? and if you think about this in numbers wise, twice as bad means literally twice as bad. There's, the numbers were comparative to per capita, like per 100,000 infected, off the charts. For like COVID, like we would be literally shut down now. Like the way that we're reacting to this,
right?
People wouldn't have left their houses for freaking weeks and months at this point. Not even like, ew, you're in a red zone or you're in an orange zone. No, shit would have been locked the fuck down.
I think the thing that they didn't have in 1918, though, to exacerbate the problem, is mainstream media and social media. I mean, there was papers back then, but I think people were scared for their own right to be scared, but I don't think it was overinflated fear.
And let's be honest, everyone's world was smaller.
Yeah, that's true.
There's people at that time, they literally had never left the town that they grew up in, or that they lived in, had never even left the state.
So it's like when the coronavirus first started here, and we were hearing about, the deaths in China before it spread over here, right? We were hearing about Italy, and we were hearing about, and it was like, we were like, oh, well, at least it's not here. You know what I mean? Like that distance, I think the distance in 1918 was within the United States. So you got people in California that are hearing about Pennsylvania, and they're like, oh, well, it's not here. You know what I mean? And so it's that same kind of distance, but our distance is so broader now than, does that make sense? Like our sense of distance today is cross-continental, whereas back then distance was really measured within states. Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, like from town to town.
Well, they didn't have the interstate system back then. They didn't, you know what I mean? That air flight wasn't really a thing. I mean, there was planes, but like we're talking like biplanes in World War I, right? We're not we're not talking about like commercial flights or anything like that at the time. So in Pennsylvania, nearly 2/3 of coronavirus deaths have occurred in nursing facilities. The Spanish flu's favored targets were people 20 to 40 years old, and all 25% of Americans were infected. So so the Spanish flu targeted a different demographic. But I think one thing that I think is going to probably be pretty similar is the Spanish flu, but 25% of Americans were infected. I think we're probably going to get close to that in the United States with the COVID, right?
Maybe.
More and more people are getting infected. Obviously, we got a higher death toll, but we got If you look at the percentage of people that have recovered.
I want to see is like we're uncovering all these people. Like I haven't looked at the numbers because
right.
I didn't know we were going to talk about this today, but because that's how we roll, people. But I don't know what the death rate is at this point.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I know it's a lot less because like here, I mean, let's see, back in the summer, our in the Syracuse area, our what the hell are they called? Emergency rooms.
Yeah.
We're really like in the hospitals were pretty loaded up. I mean, it seemed like it, right? Like according to the news of the beds available, we got to a point where there wasn't very many.
Yeah,
but
right.
right now, as per testing, because we're testing so many more people.
Right.
So many people are coming up positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually less people in the hospital.
Right.
But that doesn't change the fact, I am a pushback guy. Like I said, I don't like to follow bullshit rules, right? And a lot of these are, because it's called common sense. Use fucking common sense. But like, I know people that have been in the I don't know anybody personally, I think, that has died.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew that person, like really knew them, right? Maybe. But I do know a lot of people, not a lot, I'd say a good handful that seemingly were young, not sick, not with any comorbidity type stuff, that are now in the hospital, like in the intensive care.
Oh wow.
I can think of 2 right now. So like, damn,
right.
I will never get it.
You're never going to get it?
I'm never going to get it.
COVID knows better.
It's like a song. Never gonna get it, never gonna, right? It's like some Destiny Child shit. Never gonna get it. All right.
I'm sitting there trying to take a sip of my coffee. You bust that out. I was snorting my coffee.
And you know what? This is some Wim Hof mind shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've just made myself such an unattractive host.
You're right.
For this fucking virus. It's like, fuck that shit. We're not playing in that fucking camp. We're not doing it.
You're not messing
with me, We're not going
Rona.
to that playground. Rona? Motherfucker.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's literally like,
hands off,
what is it that my drill instructor used to say? He's like, yeah, I never get bit by bugs. If they did, they break their fucking teeth. Right? That type of shit. So that's the psychological game I'm playing with my own self.
Hell yeah.
Is that I'm not getting it.
I like it.
I'm just not. And as of now, that seems to be working out. I do take, but so, all right, I don't want to hijack this whole thing. So go ahead and continue on with what you've got, and we'll talk about what I've got here.
All right. So the flu was so horrific and such an outlier that it would be hard to identify any lasting lesson, said Barnes, who teaches the history of medicine and public health. But he added, that doesn't have to be the case with this pandemic. Davis, who wrote about the flu, More Deadly Than the War, is among those as chronicled Philadelphia's infamous Liberty Bond Parade of September 28, 1918, attended by 200,000 people and featured March King John Philip Sousa. It was an all-time super spread event. The deaths spiked within 72 hours. So, think about kind of like the big gatherings, protest gatherings right now of people, protesting the outcome of the election. That's going to have some downstream impacts, right?
Well, you would think so, but
I mean, it will, or it has. We may not
in actual reality, it has. It doesn't matter if it's a BLM rally or a Trump rally.
Exactly right. Exactly.
I just can't get over the fact that we don't treat these the same.
Right. Right. Like COVID
Which
knows
is so
the difference.
fucking laughable.
It
Well,
is.
it's that like that meme I sent you. COVID's lurking behind the tree. You know, are you going to sit down at that restaurant? You better hurry up. You better sit down. You better sit down or I'm going to come get you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If this isn't an intelligent fucking design here thing, you know, it's not.
Yeah.
And I so. No.
So in Philadelphia, so now you can start piecing a lot of the similarities between these two outbreaks. On October 3rd, the state ordered that all theaters and saloons closed, and Philadelphia added schools and churches to the list.
Mm-hmm.
But it was too late. During the week that ended October 19th, 4,500 were dead. By the first week in November, the flu virus had bumped up all of the available fuel, burned up all the available fuel. Davis said, and even though massive crowds gathering to celebrate the war ending armistice on November 11th, the after effects weren't as dire because it basically had already spread, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the week that ended November 23rd, the city did report 103 deaths. That did not stop Thanksgiving. During the war, Barnes said, the absolute imperative was to sustain morale, a mission in which newspapers participated enthusiastically, and that, quote, no bad news allowed spirit lingered after the war. So it was very different right back then. They were like all of the, what would be their mainstream media at the time, newspapers, they were all in agreement with one another, and they're like, listen, we're no bad press. We're only going to be positive. We're going to keep the morale up. We're not going to, destroy the spirit of Americans. Whereas I think our mainstream media and social media today is quite opposite. I think it's, if it bleeds, it leads, right?
Yeah, and everyone definitely, and we've seen this for quite a while now.
Yeah.
That if it's not, controversial and it doesn't get people's hackles up,
exactly,
they don't report on it. Or there's obviously a agenda.
Right.
So we only report what we want to report, not what we don't tell the whole story. There's no Paul Harvey kicking out the rest of the story.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just not happening.
So I won't read the rest. I'll just read a little bit more, and then we will transition over to what you're wanting to discuss.
I don't even remember what that is at this point.
So the flu, however, did not go away. It experienced a resurgence in December, and the Centers for Diseases and Control and Prevention reported that in the first 6 months of 1919, influenza deaths were matching the annual totals for each of the 1915, 16, and 17 flu. So this is just, hopefully it's a precursor into what we can come to expect with COVID, is the Spanish flu eventually died out. Now, the contrasting differences is the fact that, they didn't really develop a vaccine. They just had to let that flu kind of work its course, and a lot of people died as a result. Today, we are diligently working on a vaccine that hopefully can get out into the masses and really, what did Fauci say? To flatten the curve.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of similarities, but yet there's a lot of differences between the Spanish flu of 1915 and COVID of 2020. So there's a lot of lessons there, and I'll put a link in the show notes of this article so you can go back and kind of read it yourself. But I guess I say all that to say this. Eventually, someday, we will all get back to normal. We will all get back to the way things were. It's just, we all want it to happen now, right? And it may be 2, 3, 4, 5 years before we actually see that come to fruition, to do that full 180. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's just, I think we're just, maybe not just Americans, I think people in general, human nature is that we're just really impatient, and we just want shit to go back to the way they were before, right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yep. I mean, like right now, if you look at the map, the worst states are the ones that were least hit initially.
Right.
Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, New Mexico. Right. Those are the worst hit right now. Rhode Island is in there too. And then you've got, all the outliers where things had been pretty bad before, Washington, Oregon, California, Texas, New York. New York City is a different story.
Yeah.
They're all cases per 1,000. We're looking at 2,900 in New York right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then deaths per 100,000 is 88.
And I'm sure everyone's wondering, well, how is this segment considered to be military news? Well, the other article that we didn't cover, but I'll just kind of mention it now, is the Army and National Guard across the United States are all essentially gearing up to be the logistical distributors of the vaccine across the country.
And folks, here, let me just stop some crazy mind thoughts if people listen to this, okay? And I've had so many conspiracy theory folks jump on the bandwagon, like, ooh, because the military, the United States military, beyond, the only thing that comes close is FedEx and UPS.
Right. When
it comes to logistics of everything, the United States military is the best. The best. I mean, not even like kind of. Like, there isn't a fucking contest.
No.
The best logistics organization in probably the fucking solar system, the world, the universe. I'm telling you, it is a machine that is unmatched. Absolutely unequivocally. If you think about and consider what has to be done, just Thanksgiving dinner alone, for that to happen within the military lexicon is ridiculous and would cripple. I mean, think about this, folks, in your own life. Think about if you had to cook Thanksgiving dinner for 25 people and package it and deliver it. What that would take in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now imagine that on a scale that's 1 billion times larger, and you have to do it every hour of every day.
Right.
Goddamn.
Yep.
So this is why you would use the military to do something like this. Not because it's, full of chips. There's chips in the vaccines and the mark of the beast and all your other things. Right? Yeah. Or whatever you want to say, or that they're going to use it to kick off martial law and all the things, all of it. It's just not the case.
Mm-mm. It is. I mean, regardless of who's president, Democrat or Republican, it would be foolish to try to roll out a vaccine at this scale with anything other than the military.
We already have the infrastructure with logistical expertise in place. Let's not, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
And use the tools that you have, right? We talk about this in business constantly. This is all this is. It's business. All right. But this is the business of rolling out a vaccine for the nation. Whether you believe in it or not is obsolete. So,
right. Right. I mean, you look at it, cost alone. I mean, we're paying the National Guard, the we call weekend warriors, right? We're paying them regardless. So the taxpayer money is already being spent regardless, one way or the other.
So it's either they're going to sit there and do their training, that's probably bullshit, or they're going to get actual real world experience by doing stuff like this.
Right, exactly.
It just makes them better.
Yeah, so you're going to pay a little bit in extra, perhaps extra fuel, like to travel maybe greater distances than they normally would.
Do you remember Vaccine Day in the military?
Oh yeah,
not just like pre-deployment Vaccine Day.
Oh yes.
Holy Christ!
Yes.
Talk about logistics. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
And if you've never been through that, you're just like, what the hell? Like you literally think you're gonna go. I mean, talk about getting put through the ringer.
So here you go, logistics. So think about this, right? We deployed as a division, 1st Cavalry Division, all deployed, right? How many in a division? There's probably
an Army division?
Yeah. So there's probably 4,000 to 5,000 people per brigade, and there's 4 brigades.
Yeah. So you're talking with all things said and done, somewhere
Yeah.
in the realm of 20 to 25,000 people.
Right. 20 to 25,000 people all have to deploy. You're right. You got to give them all of their shots. You got to, you've got to
bullets, Band-Aids, all
everything. You got to do dental checks before everybody deploys. You got to get everyone's life insurance got to be signed. You got to have everyone's families taken care of, powers of attorney signed, SGLI signed. You've got to get all the vehicles loaded. You've got to get, I'm telling you, man, just to think about everything that goes into it. And the thing about it
like
is
rail loading, like the week prior,
yes.
all that shit.
And we do
didn't you like monitor that?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, and the thing about it is we did it as just par for the course. We didn't even think that it was that big of a deal because we've done it so much.
Right.
And the systems are just in place. It'd be different if there was no mechanism by which that happened and all of a sudden they had like, okay, guys, we've got to do something we've never done before. I think it would be a logistical nightmare. But because of military, that's what it does, man. And it does it so well that everyone just lockstep just knows what to do and they just get it done. So it would be foolish to think that we're going to try to distribute large-scale vaccines across this country without using the military.
But you
That's
know
just
what's
foolish.
insanity? I want this to think about this. We were talking about in the previous with the article about Spanish flu. Back in those days, so I just remember I had said you had 88,000 troops deploy from the U.S. over to Europe.
Yeah.
Right, in 1918, in March. And then the following month, you had 118,000 deploy.
Wow.
That's by boat.
Right.
That's not by plane. Because we didn't really have that capacity at that point.
Sure.
Not like that. Even World War II, bro, was by boat. Like when you deployed that many people, they had commandeered cruise liners and all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is what the U-boats and stuff were sinking in the North Atlantic.
Right.
Troop carrying ships, all that stuff. Literally 7,000 people packed into a boat.
Ugh.
Could you imagine?
And they got to come back home that way too.
Right. So talk about logistics. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we have the infrastructure. Let's let it do its job.
Amen.
And again, at the end of the day, whether you believe in it or not, it's happening.
Right.
It's going to happen. Now that doesn't mean sit down and let things. Don't pull a Fauci where he's like, Americans just need to. I know the independent spirit, but you guys need to shut the fuck up. I understand, and I push back against that, of course.
Yeah.
But come on.
Yeah.
Right?
I totally agree.
You're pissing into the wind here, buddy. Literally, your pants are soaked.
Pants are soaked.
So it's one of those things, like you just pick your battles, and you know what? If you haven't done 75 hard or done some real good self-reflection, probably should go do that instead of worrying about some other shit.
Right.
Like, get your shit straight before you start pointing the fingers at everybody else, right?
Yeah, man.
Which is constantly our message. So
I got to tell you, we totally flip-flopped our segment.
Yeah, and that's fine. No big whoop.
So that was our second segment we did first, just so you're all at home playing at home.
Yeah,
understand.
Keep people on their toes a little bit. So.
So we'll move into the second segment now, which should have been our first segment.
But it's chapter 2.
It is. Chapter 2, Brown Shoes.
Brown Shoes.
Of our book.
Can I read the... I'm going to read the... where it starts out. So,
sure.
Obviously, Colonel David Hackworth, right? That's who this book is about. Mm-hmm. Well, they called him the Hack.
The Hack.
The Hack.
Think of all the nicknames to get. That dude, that's just slick, right?
Right. It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Hack. So when I first met the Hack, he was a fine soldier. fresh from service with trust, possibly our sharpest military formation, then occupying, how do you say that? Trieste, that's it. Trieste in Italy.
Yep.
He was the epitome of a trust soldier. Now we'll talk about what trust is. And trust is an acronym, right? Sharp, dedicated, eager to learn, proud of the Army. Usually these soldiers die right away. The Hack was a volunteer for infantry service in Korea. The rest that follows, of course, is his punishment for such stupidity. Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Gilchrist, U.S. Army, retired. He was the platoon leader, the company commander in the 27th Infantry Regiment in Korea from 1950 to 1951.
Yeah. I like that. What follows, of course, is his punishment for such stupidity. So this is kind of the beginning of Hackworth's kind of existence in the military.
And in essence, this chapter is not even about him.
No, it's about him joining the military and kind of how he ended up in it. But then it moves into...
Well, because initially, with the initial part of this, it's him not being able to enlist.
Right, exactly.
And what wasn't he only 15?
Yeah, so I'll read a little bit of this.
Hold on real quick.
Yeah.
Let me just say it before because it's in my head. So it's what trust is, right?
Oh,
The trust is Trieste United States Troops. That's what trust standard for. And it's the illustrious unit whose 5,000 hand-picked members Walter Winchell called the chrome-plated soldiers of Europe. We worked hard during those years-long merciless days of training, repeating, until we got it right. Our transformation into soldiers inspired and monitored by the battle-savvy NCOs. So, trust is just an acronym for Trieste United States Troops.
So do you think that perhaps maybe trust is like a prelude to kind of our some type of special warfare units?
Yeah, possibly. I mean,
right?
I think the way that they trained and well, we'll get into it, but the way that they trained and that they didn't really follow garrison rules.
Right.
Because they were kind of they had special missions.
Right.
So there we go.
Very, very akin to like the special forces of the Army today.
Yeah. Maybe like a precursor. That type of thing.
They could put their hands in their pockets, basically, is what we're saying here.
And maybe get away with not shaving for a day.
Right.
Or your haircut isn't 3 inches.
Yeah.
Go get a haircut, you disgusting slob. Right. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
So I'm not going to read this verbatim, but so basically on May 20th, 1946, Hack and his friend have been trying to get into the military for a while now. They keep going down to essentially the recruiting station at the time. So often, in fact, that the guys at the recruiting station knew them by name. Right?
Now, was this the friend that was Al? Is this Al?
Yeah, Al. Al Hewitt. Yeah.
Right. That's what I thought.
So they decided, they both joined the Merchant Marines the year prior, and they had some IDs from the Merchant Marines.
Phony IDs. Phony
IDs, yeah.
Yeah.
So they decided to hop a bus and go down to, where was it? They traveled to another city, away from their city, in order to go to a different recruiting station. So they would, talk to people that didn't know them, basically. And so they showed up and they ended up taking the physical exam, and all said and told, Al and Hackworth ended up getting separated during the physical fitness portion of the exam. And by the end of the day, next Hackworth finds himself in an office with his in front of a flag with his right hand in the air, basically doing what everyone that enlists does and swears allegiance to the military and the country, right? In the Constitution. And then the recruiter looks at him and says, "Do you want to go to basic training, next week, or do you want to go now?"
Today or next week?
And he's like, yeah, today. Now, mind you, he's all of 15 years old, right? So at 15, he hops on a bus, travels to another city, spends an entire day at essentially what sounds like a MEP station today, right?
What was that? That was in L.A. though, right?
Yeah, it was in L.A. Yeah, ends up
Ocean Park, California.
Enlisting, hops on a bus, and off to basic he goes, right? At 15. Now, I don't know where his parents are and all
I
this.
don't know either, but Al didn't make it. He had a perforated eardrum or something, or he had blown an eardrum out.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't. He comes out and they wouldn't let him go. So
yeah, as he's getting on the bus, he's like, "Let's go." He's like, "Yeah, I can't."
But again, 15, he had the fake papers from the Merchant Marines.
Right.
Right. So they didn't know he was 15.
Right. Exactly.
Which is fucking amazing.
It's so crazy. Right? To think
Couldn't
about
do
it
that
today.
shit now. Hell no.
No. And my daughter's 18 and she's talking about going on a trip with her friends to Florida. And her mom and I are like, should we let her go? She's 18. She's an adult.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Should we let her go? Talk about sheltered. We shelter the shit out of our kids. We really do.
We do. Yeah. Different times, man.
Well, you know what, though? That's up to us, though.
That's true.
And at the end of the day, I can tell you, man, I let my kids do shit that most parents are like,
yeah, I know.
Like they gasp. And I'm just like, didn't you do that? Well, yeah. Then why the fuck couldn't you let your kid do it?
Right.
I mean, It's not like there's any more, there really isn't any more danger. It's just the perception.
Exactly right.
Right? So
we've all turned into helicopter
still,
parents.
15, that's literally my third daughter.
Yeah.
Just packing up one day and saying, yeah, I'm going to go join the Army without you knowing. And I'm going to Europe today. Yeah. Like you're just fucking gone. Right. It's not like you could pick up a cell phone and be like, hey, Dave, where the fuck are you? Like your kid's just gone.
Just poof. Yeah,
poof.
Exactly.
Literally gone, like a letter that might get there via snail mail, like, in a week or two.
All right, and the only way you know what's happening with your kid is if they have enough wherewithal to actually sit down, write a letter, and mail it to you. Which,
exactly.
How many 15-year-olds do you know do that today?
No, there wasn't really pay. I mean, there were pay phones at that time, but it wasn't the same, man. You know what I mean? Like literally, it's not like you bust out the calling card and be like, all right, I need to call my mom. It didn't work out, though, especially from Europe, because in this time, it's not like they went to boot camp stateside. They would go to like boot camp over in Europe.
Right. And that's kind of where he finds himself, right? He finds himself in this weird transition period where he said
they're all living in a warehouse.
Well, he's disappointed because he felt like he missed the boat because the war.
Well, because he literally did.
Literally did. World War II had just ended and he missed out. He missed out on the conflict.
And so he was still playing in the occupying force, which was in Germany and Spain and Italy. Like you had all these different occupied bases overseas. And we had hundreds of thousands of troops there.
Right.
For years.
Yeah. And that's where he finds himself. And all the World War II vets are now redeploying to go back home. And there he is stuck in these, what used to be the old World War II barracks, huge,
they're huge
hangars.
Hangars, basically.
Right. And the windows are all busted out from the previous soldiers because as soon as they found out the war was over and they were going home, soldiers just ran around and basically trashed everything, right? Mm-hmm. That sounds about like what soldiers would do, wouldn't it?
Yep.
broke all the windows and shit. And then, so here he is. He missed the boat. The war is over. All the World War II veterans are starting to redeploy home, and he's stuck with a whole bunch of hopefuls. Right?
Well, what's really great, though, is the way, like, if you read this, and we won't go through it. I don't want to go through it. But the way that they talk about the veterans is amazing. And how they talk about just whores all over the barracks.
Yeah.
Wild parties, wild drinking, and whores everywhere. Those are the exact words used.
Yeah.
Whores in the barracks, whores on the beach.
Well, they said even if we didn't know where the landmines were buried, the
The
whores
whores
did.
would. Whores on the beach, even if nobody else did, the whores knew where the landmines were buried. And everywhere you went, little kids would say, "Hi, GI, you got chewing gum? You got chocolate?"
Yeah.
It was just like in the movies.
Just
right.
like in the movies.
And you know what? I can tell you everywhere that I've been deployed where we did like that peacekeeping type mission, it was exactly the same way too.
It was the same way in Iraq too.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Bosnia, freaking Haiti, all of it. The same.
It's just
it was amazing. Now, not the horror part.
Right.
And I'm going to be, unless, no, there wasn't any whores running around in the barracks and in the beach. It wasn't like that, but with the kids and the people and all the stuff, yeah, madness.
Isn't it amazing how as much as things change, there's just as many things that stay the same over
absolutely.
the years, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that's part of the intrigue of reading these old military books. I like reading old World War I, World War II, even Vietnam and Korean War stuff, because even though it was very different geographies, it was a different war, different politics involved. A lot of the things that soldiers dealt with day to day are very much similar to today. I mean, the weapons change, the tactics might change, but at the core of it, there's just a lot of similarities. There just always has been and probably always will be, right?
Now, the one thing I do want to point out is we have a lot of bluster and talk about like Civil War right now.
Right.
So what I want people to understand, wars are horrible fucking things. Horror shows, right?
Yeah.
And the worst of all of that, probably, because the fighting lasts, it's a fraction of a moment, right? The actual bullets flying, that type of stuff. Unless you were in certain places, you may have actual 30 minutes of real combat, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it. You're done. But you multiply that by 1 million, right? So, but there were real horrors of war that we saw every day and couldn't have gotten away from it if we tried. Al Hewitt and I had dreamed of pretty Fräuleins on their knees. Italy after World War II was a dark and desperate and unlike anything I could ever have imagined. It was like a cloudy day every day, and all the people were hurting. Even the landscape seemed to be hurting. The houses were all blown up, bridges blown up. The fields were ripped apart. Nothing was growing. There was no money, no food. Old ladies in black dresses and black scarves stood the end of the chow line, picking through the garbage cans for scraps to feed their families. Young boys walked the train tracks in hope of scrounging through an odd piece of coal to eke some warmth out of their family hearth. When I guarded the tracks, I pretended not to hear the bits of coal clanking into empty metal buckets behind me and made a big show of turning around to give the kids time to hide. This grim aftermath of war would be forever etched in my 15-year-old mind. Now, again, that also 15, and this is what he's, But equally, I will always remember the people's will, their sheer determination to survive and start again. That whole paragraph really hit me because I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes your perspective, changes your point of view, and it forces you to do some self-reflection and introspection on how good we actually have it. Right? So,
and that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, the war just ended. Everyone's excited and happy, and everybody remembers the pictures.
Well, the winners are
of returning soldiers and the ticker tape parade in New York. Like everyone remembers that, but the reality is, that happened. But also at the same time, you've got Europe is a wasteland, right? I mean, you literally,
not just like a little bit, not like just Italy, Germany, France, all of it. Britain, everything is in fucking shambles because literally your backyard was a battlefield.
Right.
And this is the one thing that Americans are so detached from this idea because we haven't fought a war on our soil since the 1800s.
Right.
And that was the last Civil War, right?
Yep.
Our Civil War. And people like, if I ever hear people say, we need to have a civil war, I'm like, you've obviously never been in war.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So this is what I keep saying is that this generation of veterans that we're in are the answer to a lot of our problems because we know how horrible that shit is.
And we wouldn't wish that on our soil.
Never. Hell to the no.
Right.
I don't want to live in Iraq.
Mm-mm.
I don't want to live in Afghanistan. I don't want to live in Liberia. I don't want to live in Somalia. These are places I've been. No, thank you. No fucking thank you.
I remember distinctly a day in Iraq when I watched a couple of kids. I don't know if they were brothers or if they were friends, but they had their little book bag. It wasn't even a book bag. It was like some books that they had lashed together with like a piece of leather, and they were just carrying it over their shoulder. And they were walking to school, it turns out, and they literally just kind of stepped over a dead body that was kind of halfway on the sidewalk, halfway in the ditch. Just stepped over a dead body and just kept on walking to school. Like, and the thing about it is, I totally expected them to step over and then like turn back and look. Because you're talking young kids, right? Turn back and look. And the second I watched them, and they didn't turn back to look, that was heartbreaking because that tells me that is so commonplace and they're
prevalent.
So used to it that it doesn't even
It might have been a dead
them.
squirrel on the ground, right?
Yeah, it was amazing to me that I was just heartbroken to see that, man, to be so callous to the loss
just
of life,
desensitized to it.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, man.
And could you imagine your kids being that callous to death and destruction and desensitized to the loss of humanity?
Even my wife, I remember going to the first funeral that I had ever been with my wife. She had never seen a dead body.
Yeah.
She was in her 30s.
Wow.
And that was a prepared, pretty body.
Right.
Right? And she couldn't even handle it. So, and she's a pretty tough girl. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We're very privileged,
sheltered, very sheltered
in this country with all this stuff.
And people that cry war and let's fight, and you know what? They don't know what they're wishing for.
Or literally protesting.
Yeah.
With over what they're protesting for, when, I mean, that doesn't mean that injustice doesn't happen. Of course it does. But if you just took a step back and took a high level view of what you're actually complaining about, it's just not like, no, you have an iPhone 11. How bad could it be? Seriously.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have food. You have shelter, you have an iPhone, you have internet wherever you want to go.
Yep.
And wow. I mean, just wow. Right?
Yep.
So
you got running water,
nobody should have to worry about, getting shot as they're walking down the street, but by any stretch of the imagination. Mm-hmm. But it's just different. So, anyway,
be grateful for what you have, and don't wish for things you don't know nothing about.
True story.
Because you know what they say: careful what you wish for, you might just get it.
Yeah. And I also need people to know their history. This is kind of what we talk about. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. I mean, it is. It just is. and the way things are right now, this isn't the first time this shit's happened. We just showed that with the pandemic.
Right.
This happens constantly over and over again throughout history. Same situation. So like the gripes and complaints that you have right now, people have been griping and complaining about that for the millennia.
Right.
Not even like the last 15, 20, 30 years. Nope. Thousands of years.
Yep.
The same shit, different day.
That's right.
So
you're not as special as you think
you're
you are.
not, everyone says, how that people, I always laugh when I hear people call people snowflakes. Right. I don't really, I don't agree with it. You know what I mean? And it's not because I'm like, oh, that's just mean. Don't call people snowflakes. I laugh because it's the line from Fight Club. Right. You're not a beautiful, unique snowflake. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Because, no, there's somebody else doing exactly what you're doing 150 years ago in a different way.
That's right.
Thinking the same way. This is not the first rodeo, folks. And the quicker you figure that out and the quicker you decide to live your life, the easier your life becomes.
Amen.
Speaking of people that like David Hackworth, he is Jocko Willink's idol. He'll even say it, right? And Jocko has a saying, discipline equals freedom.
Yep.
So have the discipline to not get mired down in the bullshit. And and that gives you freedom. And no, it's not always sticking your head in the sand. It's no different than so I was with a couple of my friends last night, and we were he was talking about, my buddy was talking about, which Bill, you've met him.
Yeah. Yep.
He was talking about how he was at Costco and he actually saw a guy hit his wife.
Oh.
And how he got out of his car and went up and pushed the guy. He was like, that's the kind of stuff that I talk about, is that you can't, evil happens and bad things like that happen because good men stand by and tape it on their iPhone.
Right.
I say tape it, that shows my freaking, record it with their iPhone. So if you see injustice happening, don't let it happen.
Right.
And that's the thing. Well, it's not my problem. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get in trouble. Well, this is why World War II and what we're talking about here, people like Adolf Hitler were defeated because people didn't stand by. Right? I mean, it's no different. It's injustice is injustice. Right? And if you let it happen, like if you don't agree with people being a racist, but yet you still allow friends and family to use the N-word. No. Like, I literally look at people and I'm like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you shouldn't talk like that.
Right.
You don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to get into a fight about it, but let people know that that's not okay.
Exactly.
And that's just race. We're just talking about race stuff. It could be anything.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna, there's all kinds of things that it could. We know the difference between right and wrong. We inherently do. But yet people choose not to highlight that. So how the hell do we get caught on these tangents?
It's interesting. So that wraps up our book segment, Chapter 2, Brown Shoes. Stay tuned next week as we cover Chapter 3, Hit and Run of the book About Face. Very interesting stuff. I'm digging it.
It's such a good book.
This is a very large book. I don't know how many chapters we got. It is a good book. Yeah, man.
Oh,
so
we're scratching the surface.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten this book yet, or the audiobook or the hard copy, I recommend you go and get that today.
It is pretty massive, though.
It is. I got this book in the mail. I'm like, oh my God, this thing is definitely meaty.
Well, we are going to talk about it for quite a while, so.
Yeah, that's good. Very cool. So we're moving into our final segment, which is our topic segment. And what topic did you want to
Jesus,
bring
I
to the
have
table?
no idea. We kind of are talking about things, all right, already. Just like the state of our world with COVID and race and just trying to get along and live your lives, right? I don't have anything specific to focus on. I'm sure that we'll figure this out as we talk. But
so I think one of the things that it's kind of timely and relevant to me, maybe we could talk about it, is so I currently have a position open on my team that I'm actively recruiting and interviewing for to fill, right? And the job market today is absolutely flooded with people that are looking for employment, and it's amazing to me. So I want to maybe to use this opportunity to kind of talk with you or talk through this with you, because I'm kind of torn in a lot of ways from some of the candidates that I'm seeing. Obviously, I don't know how your job does it, but in my place of employment, they've got once you get a rec approved for a position, you don't have that's not an open-ended ticket. Like you're on the clock, right? You got
you need to do this within like 3 weeks.
Right. I mean, I got probably more than 3 weeks. I probably have till January 1st to fill the position, so I got some time. But I think the only reason I have that latitude is because of the time of year that it is with Thanksgiving and Christmas and etc. But this rec isn't going to stay open forever, so time is ticking. So I've got my job as the hiring manager is to solicit interest, to get as many people to apply to it as possible, and then vet them, the best I can, and bring on the best person for the job, to fill the role. That's my job right now, and that's what I've been spending a lot of my time on. And I've the rec is open through work, so they're pushing it out to Indeed and they're pushing it out to other places. But I've also created the position on LinkedIn, and I've been soliciting, or I've been getting solicitation from interested parties on LinkedIn, and I've done some phone interviews with several people now. And I just want to kind of talk this through with you. Maybe you can help provide me some guidance and direction, because it's an entry-level position, so I'm looking for somebody that doesn't necessarily have to have years and years and years of experience. So that's challenging, but it's also a breath of fresh air. But it's challenging because when you're hiring for a seasoned position, then you know exactly the specific skill sets that you need in that role, and you can basically qualify people based off of their experience as well. With an entry-level position, it's not really the skill set specifically that I can qualify people, but it's what's the word for it? It's things that they've done in their past that could translate to the skill sets that I'm looking for, proxies, right? And I'm getting a lot of people in the hospitality industry applying for this role, because as we know, the hospitality industry has taken a humongous hit due to the effects of COVID-19. So you got a lot of people that are either, unemployed, out of work, or, on furlough. So they're technically not out of a job just yet, but they probably will be. And of course, as we just discussed earlier, we're not seeing a tapering off necessarily of COVID. We're actually seeing a spike in cases in a lot of places in the country. So these people are like, oh my God, this isn't getting better. It's getting worse, and it's probably going to last well into 2021. So people are being proactive, or as proactive as they should be, and looking for jobs, even if it means applying for positions that are well outside of their scope of experience, right? So that's kind of what I'm dealing with first. And then second thing is I am very much interested in diversity and inclusion, right? So I'm interested in what type of diverse candidates could I bring onto the team, right? And then we're talking diverse. We're talking about diversity. We're talking about age. We're talking about race. We're talking about sex, ethnicity, all of that, right? So I'm also looking at that in the candidates as well. And Oh man, it's been a rough go because I'm finding that of the candidates so far that have applied to the role, the women have been far more prepared in the interview than the men that I've interviewed have been. And the men that I've interviewed so far in this position have all come off with this, almost like this arrogance of, like, they don't have to prepare for the interview. Like they're just winging it. You know what I mean? Like when I interview them, I got a set of questions that I'm asking, and they're just winging it. But yet when I interview the women that have applied for the position, like I could tell that they've really gone through and read the job description and are prepared to talk about, what I'm looking for in the candidate. And it's kind of shocking to me, the difference between the way women, this is a very generalized comment, but in my experience with this particular job search, or I should say, recruitment activity that I've undergone so far, the women seem to be far more prepared, like they're hungrier for it. The men almost seem like they're just expected to be handed the position because I don't know why. So that's like the first thing. And then the other thing too is, so I guess the first thing is people outside of the industry looking to cross over. That's a challenge. And then in terms of the diversity segment, it's the women are far more prepared than the men. And then the last thing is, I've actually had some veterans apply for the role, and that I very much am interested in potentially bringing on veterans as well, because they're also a diversified classification as well. But I just understand the work ethic, and there's just things that you and I could connect with when employing veterans. So I'm just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on this in terms of, if you as a hiring manager, what are some of the things that you look for in a qualified candidate, and what things do you, in terms of when you weigh a candidate, what are things that you're looking for in a candidate that may certain aspects of a candidate may outweigh other aspects of the candidate? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So diversification doesn't just stop with race, color, religion. It also matters diversity of where they've been. So like their past experience, right?
Sure.
And sometimes the best candidate is somebody that's outside the purview of what you would think typically you would look at, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the way that people find job applicants now is really good at finding them nice people.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want nice people. You want good people.
Right.
Right? So we always talk about like-heartedness, things like that. You want somebody that's going to be, because I, as a manager, am very honest. And I want somebody that can reciprocate that to a fault.
Mm-hmm.
This is just my management style. And I know you're very similar.
Right.
I mean, you can break it down to like, what are the 4 things that employers want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that requires some digging into people's pasts, right? You want them to be good communicators, right? We talk about this ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to be good communicators. They need to play well with others, right?
Yep.
They need to be able to show up.
Right.
Because heaven forbid, that's like one of the things that's really hard to find. It's people just to fucking show up.
So it's funny that you say that, because one of the candidates, now all the interviews that I've done so far has been phone interviews, because when I interview, it's a 3-stage interviewing process. So the first stage is phone interview. So I'm weeding you out,
right?
From the phone interview, and it's about 30 to 45 minute long of phone interview. And then if you move on to the next stage,
then you've got like 3 people that you do in person.
Yeah, the second stage is in person, but it's a skills test. So I bring them in and give them a timed event where it tests their skills and ability with Microsoft Excel and some other other things relative to the job, right? And then if you pass that, then we move on to stage 3, which is more of the in-person behavioral type interview questions, where I'll also bring in a couple other people to interview them as well, so I can get some feedback, unbiased feedback from, my peers or seniors within the organization. So, I just want to make sure that I'm not making a decision based off of my own individual preference, because I realize that this person is going to need to be dealing with a lot more people than just me, right? And that's the other thing too, is you kind of alluded to it, is if you're a hiring manager, you do not want to hire people that are just like you.
No, because they're just going to do what you tell them to do. I want somebody that pushes back a little bit,
right?
Because if you think you're a good person, like me, I look in the mirror, I think I'm a good person. You might be, but you still have blind spots. You're still fallible, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to avoid inadvertently doing something bad, you surround yourself with good people, not nice people.
Right.
Because nice people are yes people.
Right.
Good people are people that have your and their and the organization's best intention at heart.
Yeah, correct. I agree.
Not, oh, I'm just here to collect a paycheck and I'm doing this because my boss told me to. I have plausible deniability. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's like 90% of places nowadays.
Right.
Like, it's not I want people that think totally differently than me working for me, because then you attack a problem with from all angles. Now, in your line of business, that works. It does. You need that, actually. In the line of business where if you work at McDonald's, that's systematic.
Sure.
You don't really need people that think differently there, because you're not doing anything that really matters. That's not to discount someone's job or someone's career field, but working at McDonald's, other than food poisoning and feeding people, what are you really doing? But it's so systematized with rotation and logistical tools that it's kind of no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about places like where I work, where you're actually doing things that really affect people, and really affect the system in a larger zone, or your company in a larger thing, right? Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
that sounded kind of bad, but
no, right?
but at the end of the day,
I get what you're saying.
At the end of the day, this doesn't apply to all employment.
Yeah,
because you want nice people in a lot of places, because you want them to follow the system.
Mm-hmm. And see, when I interview, now you and I both know them. I'm like we were talking about Jocko. Very much looks to Hackworth as a mentor when it comes to business. The person that I really look to as a mentor, virtual mentor, whatever, but it's not. We've interviewed him on the show before, but it's Mark Horstman from Manager Tools, right?
Yes.
And a lot of his doctrine and his recommendations are proven, number one, and number two, they just make a hell of a lot of sense for me, and I've implemented them with great success. And not saying that his way is the only way of doing it, but his way is a proven way of doing it, and I've tried them and they've worked very well for me. And so why go with something else if what you've found it works, right? So I've kind of implemented his thought process when it comes to hiring, and his mentality around hiring is as a hiring manager, hiring people is probably the most important job the manager does.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Right? A lot of people are like, just a lot of people think that hiring is just like you just get in whoever you can, and if they don't work out, they're in that 90-day, probationary period. You just, work them out, and then you bring somebody else in, and you keep, rinse and repeat until you find the right candidate. And like, no, I don't think that's sustainable. I don't think that's the correct way of dealing with it, because every time you hire somebody and you've got to let them go within 90 days, that's more of a hit. Well, not only that, but I think in my mind, I think it's more of a hit on the manager than it is on the associate that you're letting go.
Well,
right?
what's one of the biggest things that you want to hire for? For me, it's prioritizing the cultural fit.
Right.
Like, will they fit in the current team? Or are we
Right.
trying to put a round peg into a square hole?
Right. Yeah. So one of this,
Or a square peg into a round hole. Sorry, that's a better analogy. But
yeah, like one of the things I know this person's going to be doing a lot of is communicating via email and doing a lot of Microsoft Outlook type of activities, scheduling appointments, meetings, things like that, right? And so, once I have somebody reach out to me interested in the position that I want to bring on for a phone interview, I'll actually email them a meeting invite, right? And in the meeting invite, it contains the date and the time, and of course, I attach the job description for their review. And I had this one candidate actually emailed me, but he actually responded to the meeting invite and said, "What time are we meeting again?"
oh my God.
I was like, I responded to him and I was like, "It's in the meeting invite. I'll meet you there." I didn't even tell him. I'm like, "It's in the meeting invite.
Figure it out, Google.
I'll meet you
I'm
then."
not your fucking personal Google.
Right. Well, I called him at the time of our interview and no answer. I got his voicemail.
Oh my God.
And then like a few hours later, I get an email that says that, well, I apologize. I missed it. I fell asleep,
And
on and
he
on and
blew it.
on. I'm like, sorry, I'm not considering you for the position because you literally, and that's the thing to kind of point out there for those that are listening is if you're in the job hunting mode, you have to be in that mode 24/7. That means every time you're
squared the fuck away, man.
right, every time your phone rings, you just have to assume it's a recruiter. Every time you get an email, you have to assume it's a recruiter. Like you need to be in job hunting mode 24/7 until
Game face, baby.
You gotta have your game face on. Absolutely. And this guy dropped the ball, right? I mean, totally dropped. Now, could he have been a good candidate? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But at the end of the day, he failed in a very rudimentary skill set that I'm looking for. I don't have time to babysit somebody to make sure that they're, making meetings on time. I just can't. They're going to have to lead themselves. So instant disqualifier, right? Boom, right out of the gate. So the other thing too that I have to just mention is, and we've talked about this on the show before, is resumes, bro.
Oh, Jesus Christ. They're horrible.
Horrific. Absolutely.
Like we've lost that art. It definitely is like horrific. I mean, bottom line, folks, and I'll just put this out here. We were talking about time. We started out with this as time.
Yeah.
And you have your position that's open. You have until January 1st to do this. Let's just say that you get 100 applications.
Right.
And let's say every resume, takes you 5 minutes to look over.
Sure.
That's just assuming that we have 1-page resumes, which is what you should have.
Right.
But some people have like 3-page resumes. So now let's just say, just using simple math, we're going from 5 minutes to 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I only have 8 hours in the day. And that's assuming that I have a hard start time and a hard end time.
Right.
Right? If you have to have a 1-page resume. If you have a bit larger resume, and I don't care about all the acronyms and all the bullshit that you've done, you've got to figure out a way to put it in 1 page.
Yes.
Because a hiring manager, I swear to God, if I am the hiring manager and you give me a resume that's more than 2 pages, I'm putting it directly in the trash.
Right.
Directly. And I know Eddie is exactly the same way.
Yes, it is.
Because
so bad.
It's so bad.
It is so, and so here's the other thing I want to talk to you about: quantifiable, and quantitative data, right? So you've got two types. You've got quantifiable, and then you've got quantitatable, right? Quantifiable and quantitative data, right? So the difference between the two is quantitative data is when you're providing actual numbers around your accomplishments. I can't tell you how lacking the resumes that I get are. They're lacking in quantitative data. So they say, successfully trained team of people. Okay. Like, how many is in the team of people? Did you successfully train 100 people, or did you successfully train a team of 2? Like, there's a difference there, right?
Huge difference.
Right? Or
and if you don't know, then what the fuck?
Right, right. Or I like this one: managed department budget, or successfully managed department budget. And that's all it says. Okay, well, what was the budget? Was it $10 or was it $2 million? Right? The big difference there, right? And then what is your measurement for success? I love resumes that say successfully did this, successfully did that, but they didn't provide me a measuring stick by which to identify what they're using as a measuring stick for success, right? So the quantitative data is lacking. And then you got qualitative information. So qualitative data is like you accomplish something and it's based around some type of, quality standard. Like, for example, maybe you successfully completed a project using the PMP, project management standard. That's qualitative, right? Because that's an industry standard for project management. That's just an example. But they don't really use that. They're just saying that I, completed 10 projects, done. Or they don't even say 10 projects. They just say successfully completed projects, right? So it's missing both quantitative and qualitative data. So that's like another big problem with resumes. Absolutely horrific. These resumes that I see. And the thing about it is you get a lot of college kids, students, I say kids, they're young adults, that are taught, or at least giving some rough guidance on resumes from their colleges or universities. And it is absolutely horrific guidance that these colleges and universities are providing them, because it's like their resumes are more of a marketing tool than
right. Yeah.
And they're like,
and they only have one resume. What the fuck do you mean you only have one resume?
Right.
Like we're in a hyper competitive world here for really good jobs, right? Yeah. You don't just go to college and come out with your degree and you get a fucking job. That's not how it works. Like you need to work on things. And this is the other thing. Work on other things besides your degree, because this is what goes on your resume. Your experience matters more than where you got your fucking degree in most cases. So, I mean, shit, I'm apt to hire someone with no degree if they've got a really good experience.
Sure.
Right? So, I don't hyper focus on someone's past, but you've got to be able to vet them appropriately, right?
Yeah. Well, you've heard of the term the riches are in the niches, right?
Yeah.
So everybody understands the idea of niching down or becoming very specific about something. So they'll start a new business, or they'll have an online presence, and they will market specifically to a specific demographic of people, right? Because everybody understands niching down and actually getting in front of the audience that you're looking for is more valuable than just doing a blanket blast.
And let's
be
honest, too, it's simpler. It's easier to do that.
But people understand that, but why don't they do that with their resumes, though?
Well, yeah. So, like, if I'm going to go get a job at FedEx, right, as like an executive, I need to tailor my resume to FedEx. And guess what, folks? They give you the requirements. They give you exactly what you need to focus on in the job announcement. I understand that some of it is very vague, but this is where you need to work on those skills of interpretation. And you know what? You won't always interpret the information correctly.
Right.
Bottom line. So it really, it is frustrating. I totally understand.
I had one lady that applied to the position, and it was just a simple job post on LinkedIn, and it did not include the full job description. It had like a brief job description, but it didn't have the full requirement, right? I wrote it. It's like a 2-page document, job description, and I've got it in a PDF format. And so she applied to the job, and she gave me her best resume, which was a pretty solid resume. And then when I sent her the phone interview invite, I included the job description. And probably a couple hours later, she ended up emailing me back with a new resume, and she says, I've had an opportunity to review your full job description, and I have taken the liberty of altering or changing or curtailing my resume to have more alignment with the job description that you've outlined. So she's actually gone through and maybe changed up her bullet statements or added some things into her resume that weren't there before that spoke specifically to the job that I'm looking to hire for. Like, that's impressive, right?
Right.
Because she didn't have the job description up front, she probably would have done that on the upfront, but she got the job description after the fact and then felt the need, rightfully so, felt the need to update her resume to reflect more accurately the position that she's applying to.
And
right?
I've done that in the past too, where I'll literally walk in, like I'll bring extra copies. And I straight up, like when I shake people's hands, I hand them my resume. So they literally have their own copy. Even if they're like, I've got it right here. I'm like, well, here's a copy for you.
Right, exactly.
And that's exactly what I say. What's your favorite interview question?
Well, I have a lot of them. And a lot of people say, well, trick questions. I don't really do trick questions.
Not tricks. I have one.
I have one. The question that I ask, I don't have it up on my computer right now, but it's something that goes along the lines of, I have many, and it's just true, the job market is flooded right now. And I say, to the candidate, I have got a lot of people applying to this position. Tell me one thing about you that will stand out in my mind over and above all the other candidates that have applied to this position. And it's kind of a big deal, right? Because if you're a hiring manager and let's say I'm applying for a position that you've posted, and I know the job market's flooded, and I know that you are looking for the right candidate, and it's hard when you get done interviewing 100 people. It's hard to remember which one was which one said this, and who, especially a phone interview, because you don't have really a face to put to the name, right? So you need something, hiring managers keying in on something specific about each candidate to try to trigger that recall memory of that interview. And so I'm asking the candidate, essentially, give me that trigger. So when I think back on all of these interviews, I remember you, right? That's what I'm asking from the candidate. And you'd be surprised how inadequately most candidates will answer that question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's one of your questions?
My favorite question is, what are you not good at?
Yeah, well, that's the other one, too. I have
so I always give it, what are you good at?
Right.
Like, what's going to make you stand out? And then I immediately follow that with, what are you not good at? And I've actually had people tell me nothing. And if you answered nothing, you're out of here. I can't do it, because either one of two. There's three things that says to me. Either your ego is too large that you can't look in the mirror and find what you're not good at. Or number two, you're telling me what I want to hear, or you think I want to hear, which is just red flags for later down the road, right?
Yeah.
Or third, that you just have done zero self-evaluation work in anything.
Exactly.
Beyond ego.
Yes. That's so
that is not an employee that I want. I want someone, today, considering it's Sunday, we're recording this on Sunday. Today is something that we call Self-Reflection Sunday.
Right.
Right. And we make social media posts with that. And so it's a quote every week. And this quote, if you haven't seen it, go back to like Instagram or Facebook or whatever, our page, and see today's quote is, we don't see things as they are. We see them as we are.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much says it. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, at the end of the day, if you don't know what you're good and not good at, probably more importantly, what you're not good at, frankly, if you don't focus on that, what you're not good at, you're going to put yourself in some really shitty situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not only that. So you're right. There's two questions that I also ask of the candidates. And the first one is, after reading the job description, tell me what about the job description specifically do you feel that you will excel at, right? So I'm looking for one or maybe two things after reading the job description that the candidate can say, oh yeah, I could definitely nail that. I could definitely do that. I can help there, right? Because if you can't say that if you're looking for a job, right? And I'm looking at job descriptions for, this job and that job. If I can't read something on a job description that rings true to me that says, oh, I can do that, I've got no business applying to that role. I just have no business applying to that position, right? Mm-hmm. So there has to be at least something on that job description that the candidate is relating to or has related to in some way, right? And I'm looking for what that is. So if a candidate struggles to answer that question, that tells me that nothing about the job description really rings true for them. And if that's the case, they're not the right candidate, right?
Right. And they're just like shooting. They're like job hunting with a shotgun.
Yes,
not a rifle.
And without divulging the organization that I work for, it's really, really hard working for the company that I work for because everyone wants a job working for a company that's got high brand recognition, right? They don't really care about the job. They just want a foot in the door at the company, right. And that's tough. It's easy. It's a good thing because I get an influx of candidates I probably otherwise wouldn't. But then it's also bad because now I got to sift through all of that, right? Which is this sucks. But the second question that I ask is, after reviewing the job description, tell me one thing that you feel that you'll struggle at. And you're right. If I get the response, which I have gotten this response from a couple of candidates so far, is I don't really feel that I would struggle with anything on the job description. And I'm like, that's a huge red flag. A huge red flag for me as a hiring manager because I know the job description because I wrote it. And I know that there is no single candidate out there that can do everything that I'm asking for. Mm-hmm. And that's an important thing to kind of point out. And let me just go off on a tangent for a minute. So as a hiring manager or anyone that puts together a job description, they are writing a job description to include every single thing that an ideal candidate could possibly bring to the table for that role. However, I know, and every hiring manager also knows, that it is impossible to find a single candidate that fits the requirements of everything listed on a job description. Mm-hmm. I know it's not possible. So if you are a candidate and you feel that you are the best candidate for everything, every single aspect of every bullet statement or bullet point on that job description, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to me, right? Because it's not possible. Because I'm not looking for a candidate that can fit the mold of every point listed on the job description. I'm looking for people that have the ability to meet a handful of those skill sets. And if I can find the right candidate that can fit a handful of those requirements that I'm looking for, I can train the rest, right?
Right.
So the only person that I think that could actually do that job in every task listed on the job description is me, right? Because I've done all of those tasks. I know how to do those tasks, and I know what it takes to do those tasks. But if you're not me, then you're not gonna fit the mold on every single aspect of that job description. So I've had people say to me, I don't feel that I'd struggle with anything on the job description. Well, that goes back to your self-reflection, is they don't know enough about themselves to be either honest with themselves about it or honest with me about it.
And why be able to parlay their experience to all
right
type of just because you're a combat vet doesn't mean you don't have. We say this to veterans all the time. Just because you didn't do that job, you've done something like that.
Right. Exactly right.
So how do you use that to build that bridge?
Right.
Right.
And for anyone that says that they won't struggle with anything on the job description,
Yeah, they're full of it.
That tells me that if I hire this person and they are sitting at their desk and they get stuck with something or they don't know how to do something, they won't come ask me for help. They won't ask anyone for help. They'll just sit there and pretend like their shit don't stink, basically, right? That they're gonna wallow in failure, and they're just not gonna be successful. I need people that are willing to be humble enough to set their ego at the door and say, "Hey, I don't know this as well as I probably should. I need help," right? Because those people are, at least are self-aware enough to ask for help, and I'm willing to train, to teach, and to mentor, right? Maybe you're a hiring manager and you don't have time to teach and to train and to mentor. Well, I got one thing to say to you, and that is you shouldn't be you shouldn't be a manager, right? If you don't have time to train, teach, and mentor your directs, you shouldn't be a manager. End of story. But anyway, that's a totally different topic.
But the last two things that I can say, right, is to be crystal clear about your expectations. Be brutally honest about your expectations, and what and what this is going to entail. This isn't necessarily just, if you're able to do your work within your scope of time, but falling behind and all this is not acceptable. It just isn't, so whatever your expectations are, is make sure that you be crystal clear to that, because again, ad nauseum, we've said this, people only know what they know. And if you don't tell them what you expect, how can they ever live up to that ever? And then the last thing for me is I always, and I've learned, well, now that I'm 47, almost 47 years old, I always trust my instincts.
Yes.
If you're 35, you might not have those instincts dialed in as much. You just might not. But what is your gut reaction to a candidate?
Exactly.
And you might be tempted to rely purely on logic. You just fucking can't. You can't.
Right.
At your own peril. Because their resume could be complete bullshit. But and if you don't know, if you haven't had enough physical contact with people to talk with people, then you know what? You have work to do. And again, this is self-reflection stuff. Introspection. You better start going out and talking to people. Like striking up random conversations at the grocery store with people. Seriously. Yeah. Because if you don't know how to gauge people and talk to them and be able to read stuff like that, you have no business being a manager. This is the difference between leaders and managers. Managers in name alone. Because there's a big difference between, we all know it. We've all been there. There's a big difference between someone who's a manager that's a leader.
Yeah. And
a difference between a manager that's a manager because they have the title manager, but they suck.
Right, yes.
Like they have zero, and I'm sorry, but more often than not, that toxicity of management permeates an entire organization nowadays. And you find those little golden nuggets in there, but for the most part, I feel like we're lacking in actual management / leadership stuff.
Yeah, having the title manager doesn't make you one.
No,
right?
No, because that might make you good at spreadsheets.
Right.
But it doesn't. That has nothing to do with your people.
Right. So. And you can do both, right?
Yeah, absolutely, you can do both. I think you're a pretty good example of that.
Yeah, I could do spreadsheets, and
you fucking like spreadsheets. I think you might actually dream about them. Where I can't stand a motherfucking spreadsheet. I mean, I like them as the high level 30,000 foot view of looking at things. I like to have that data, but I'm not making the motherfucking spreadsheet. I just can't. Nope, not doing it. I would rather. This is why we have people to make spreadsheets. Because there's people like my wife. This is why my wife and I are so good together. She loves the motherfucking spreadsheet.
Right.
She loves to create them and make them. And I'm like, yep, have it at it. Let me see it when you're done. That's me. But
So
that's it. I know my limitations.
There you go. You'll follow a spreadsheet. You just don't
I just don't like making that shit.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? And I don't even want to enter shit into it to like track shit.
Yeah, I know. I know all about that.
I guess you do. I fucking can't stand a motherfucking spreadsheet. I mean, I like it. Like I said, I like it. I just don't like doing the work for it.
So let me ask you. So here's the last bit that I wanted your opinion on. And my wife and I talked about this last night, and I'm struggling with this. So I had and I got to be very vague here because it's possible he may end up listening to the show. So I had a candidate apply for the position. Former veteran, military veteran, Army, served in Afghanistan. Pretty close to the MOS that I had. Not exact, but close.
Fister.
And yeah.
It's the worst fucking name ever.
You like that? And so really, very well-spoken, great resume, great LinkedIn profile. There's some things on there that he's done. But the thing about it is this guy is really, really good at other things, not the job that I'm hiring for, right? This guy has a passion for something totally outside of the scope that I'm hiring for, right?
Yeah.
It's like, he owns his own business. He's been very successful in this. He basically took a hobby and turned it into business, right? And he's really, really super good at it. And like, I really want to hire this guy for all the wrong reasons, right? I want to hire him because he's a veteran. I want to hire him because he's well-spoken. I want to hire him because, I want to give someone a chance like someone gave a chance for me. But I'm very concerned that if I hire him for those reasons and not for the reasons of filling the right candidate for the position, then he's not going to like the job. He's probably not going to do it well. And I think more than anything, he's probably just looking for some full-time employment that he can earn money so he can
what I was gonna say.
have time to do his passion work, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you and I both do passion work
his
outside
passion
of our
work
day
doesn't
job.
pay the bills.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Not as much as he probably needs it to right now, right?
Yeah. No, I understand.
So I'm just like, I'm still going to do a phone interview with this guy, if for no other reason, at least talk to him about that and say, hey man, like, you need to pursue your passion.
Right. Like shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
So I guess the best piece of advice that I can give is, does the aspirations of this person fit with the job that you're hiring for? And just from, cursory here listening to this,
Yeah.
I say it doesn't.
Right.
And yeah, it might fill a short, but I'm not filling this position for somebody that's going to be gone in a year.
Right. Exactly.
I'm filling a position for someone that's going to be part of this team and fits into the culture and this and that and the other thing.
Right.
That's going to be the best fit for myself and the company. And yeah, your qualifications, it's why we call people overqualified.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, that is a thing for sure. Because if your aspirations outweigh the job, then you're never going to find fulfillment there. And an unfulfilled employee is not a good employee.
Yeah.
So in turn, I say the best thing for this person that has a side hustle that is, and their aspirations go beyond this job, I would say the best thing that you can do is you saying no to them puts their feet to the fire. That's just my opinion. And you know what? You saying no might be the best thing for this person ever, because now they have to shit or get off the pot.
Right.
Or if you really need that money, go find an easier way to make it. Don't think that getting a job at XYZ company is the answer. Go shit, bro. I mean, I'm a prime example of this. I used to work at Wegmans making pizzas because I needed to make ends meet. I used to go and work at a liquor store. I freaking stocked shelves at a liquor store to make extra money. You're not above anything. So, in turn, go find something that's acceptable, that works more with your time frame to pay those bills. Like, go work at UPS and throw freaking boxes from 4 in the morning to 10 in the morning, and then go work on your passion.
Right.
Like, make money other ways, that's fine. But you starting a whole nother career, because the position you're hiring for is a career. It's not a fly by night. Oh, I'm going to do this job until I can, you know what I mean? It's just not.
Exactly.
It's a career unto itself. And what I challenge the candidate to look at is, how does this job get me closer to my goals over here? And if it does, then I understand. But that's a conversation that you two need to have.
Yeah.
And that's a conversation that, if I take this job, this is what I learned from it. And this is how it's going to help me. And in maybe 2 years, I'll be able to do this better. At least they're being honest.
Yeah. Right.
And saying, this is just a stepping stone for me. And you know what? If that's okay with you, then hire the guy. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we're playing big boy rules here. This isn't just, oh, let me walk around with a shotgun and shoot shit and see what I hit. It's not how this works. There's plenty of other things that you can do. And you know what? If you can't pay your bills on a lower set, maybe you need to cut back. You've got to figure out what you're willing to do, and what your family's willing to endure for you to get to your goals, and what you think. I'm hitting this ad nauseum. Yeah, people understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, as a hiring manager, and if you are a hiring manager and you don't know this, then this is going to be a little bit of a shock to your system, and you're welcome for this information. But as a hiring manager, I know that I am being judged based off of the candidates that I bring into the organization. Right? If I'm a hiring manager and I bring in a shitbag into the company that I end up needing to have nothing but problems with, ends up, taking up all kinds of time from HR for issues, and I end up letting go, or worse, ends up getting pawned off to another department that then has to deal with that issue, right? Then I don't have a good reputation as a hiring manager to bring on good, qualified candidates that are also a good fit to the department and to the organization, right? So I'm not saying that this guy would be that, but I do know that this guy probably would not, like you said, find fulfillment in the role, and probably would get extremely bored very easily.
Yep.
I think he would do really, really well right out of the gate. But over time, as I'm looking for a candidate to evolve this position, I don't know as if the interest to evolve that position will be there, because his interest is in evolving and developing his passion outside of work.
Correct.
And I know that because I've been there.
Right? Yeah, done that shit. We're still doing it every single day.
Yeah, so I know my gut is telling me you're right. I mean, my mind is telling me I just can't hire this person because he's just not the right candidate for the role. But my heart is telling me that I really, really, really want to give this guy a shot, because, I see a lot of myself in this guy, right? He's had a lot of jobs and he's bounced around from this job to this job to this job, because it's kind of what a lot of veterans do when they get out of the Army, right?
You and I have both done this. We've both done exactly what he's doing. And at the end of the day, look at your 3-year goals. Like, what are you going to do for the next 1,000 days to reach your goals? It's really a way to look at it. Like, what are you going to do for the next 3 years to reach the goals? Like, where do you want to be at the end of that? And then make a plan and execute it. And no, it's not going to be easy. It just isn't. But you have to rip off the Band-Aid and do it. And I know you might have kids. I know you might have, responsibilities. Well, you can take care of those. And no, again, it might not be easy, but you've got to find ways to overcome those.
Yeah, or at the very least, find, like, let's say his passion is in like marketing, right?
Yeah.
And he does a lot of marketing and marketing related activity. That's like his passion, his side hustle, right? Like clearly is what he is really driven to do. And I could tell by his job description or job history in the past that he's tried to pursue opportunities that kind of fit that model to his passion. But then all of a sudden he starts going, left field and starts taking these positions that have nothing to do with his passion, which is the case for this role.
Well, it seems like he's kind of flailing.
Yeah, so I think if he is looking for just something to pay the bills so he can focus on his passion, he should at least get a paying job that's in the same industry of his passion. Would you agree?
Well, but no one will hire me. Then you know what I mean? I know. Which I get it. But again, then you know what? Freaking go work at the grocery store making pizza and do Uber. I'm saying, and guess what? Analyze your budget and make your bills less. Like make your responsibility less painful. I can't stress this enough that you have to do this work. You have to do that. And you will learn so much about who you are and what it actually means, and you'll appreciate it so much. Every millionaire, billionaire guy that does a startup, they do this. They have to. And all we ever see is the guys at the end of the rainbow.
Right, yeah.
But we don't look at the fact that they went through 15 years of struggle from get to point A to point B.
Yeah.
It's the analogy that we always use is it's really hard to get from 0 to 1. It's easy to get from 1 to 10 because you know the system, but you have to make the system for yourself to get from 0 to 1. And as soon as you do that, you can pay your bills and you can do the things that you want to do. But guess what? In the meantime, you don't get to freaking have 38,000 channels on your TV. You don't get to have vacations every year. You don't get to have those things. You don't get them because you're not in a position to pay for them.
Right.
Okay? So at the end of the day, you have to realize where will you be in 3 years if you do A, B, and C versus if you do, D, E, and F. And you have to make a choice on whether you're willing to do it. And if you're not, then you're not meant to do that. So give it up and put on big boy pants and do something different. No, and that's literally what it is. You either shit or get off the pot. We've done this constantly and over and over and over again. And if it's really your passion, then it won't die. Because trust me, how many companies have I started and freaking shit canned?
Yeah.
Dozens. Not dozens, a lot.
Yeah.
And I've been successful with some, and I've failed miserably at others. That's what has to happen. You literally need to look at yourself and figure out what is truly important, but you cannot do it with regret.
Yeah. Because
you're just going to regret your kids, your wife, your life. And you know what? This is on you. It's not on anyone else.
I agree.
Now, here's the thing. And these are tough decisions. You might be married. You might have kids. But if your wife doesn't support you in your dreams, then maybe she shouldn't be your wife. Or maybe she shouldn't be your husband, or he shouldn't be your husband. I'm sorry. That's reality, though.
It is.
Bottom line. If you're with people and you're surrounded by people that think you're batshit crazy and they don't support your actions, I think you need to find new people to be around.
Right.
I'm just saying. I put my wife through hell. Right? For 16 years at this point. Literally.
Yeah.
16 years. And we see there's light, but I'm not there yet. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm not there. And she's put up with the shit for 16 years. You know why? Because she loves me. And it's right for me. I mean, she went and got a job so she could carry health care.
Right.
It's because I couldn't.
Yeah.
Or it made more sense for her to do it. Right?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, come on. You have to do this. And if that person is not the partner for life that you need, maybe you shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
Or are you willing to sacrifice all your dreams to make that work without regret? Because if you're not, I feel for you.
Yeah.
Oof. That shit's getting real. That's real as fuck. That's as dirty as it gets.
That stings a little bit, and you're making me uncomfortable. Can we change the subject?
You know, live with it, own it. Freaking sit in that shit for a while. Like shitting in a dirty diaper. Shitting in a diaper and sitting in it for a while. That's what you have to do. That's self-reflection. That's introspection. Right?
Yeah.
Sit in your own shit for a bit and see,
but that makes me uncomfortable.
Right? It does.
Right.
You goddamn right. But again, introspection, self-reflection helps you strategize these things. It helps you spot opportunities and threats, emotional intelligence, confidence, understanding, growth and productivity, clarity, decision-making. These are all things that you know. These are all things you did in the Army. These are all things you did in the service. These are all things that you've done throughout your life, right? With shitty situations and good situations. But if you're not honest with yourself and look yourself in the fucking mirror and see what it actually is, what the fuck? Then you're not moving forward. And you never will. Sit in your shitty diaper for a bit. Take a cold fucking shower. Make yourself uncomfortable. Make yourself uncomfortable.
That's the title of the show, by the way.
Sit in your shitty diaper.
Sit in your shitty diaper.
And I'm not talking about the asshole gamers that are sitting in their mom's basement wearing Depends because they don't want to leave their fucking game. That's not sitting in your shitty diaper. Fuckface. Seriously. There's people that do that shit, though. I know. Read the stories. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Unless you're an esports fucking commando that makes money playing video games, take the fucking Depends off. Christ.
Yeah, if you're making multi-millions of dollars playing your games.
There's guys making six figures playing video games. And that's awesome.
Well, listen, if they do, they got every right to piss their pants.
Correct. Then have fun. Just make sure you're wearing diapers.
That's right.
Don't ruin your mom's futon, okay?
We've come to the end of our discussion today. Thank you very much for your feedback, sir. It was a good back and forth dialogue around this. It's some good advice for both hiring managers and also for candidates that are out there. And we touched on it before, and this is a shameless plug here. You probably are struggling with your resume, and it's not your fault. Why? Because, let's be honest, there is a lot of information out there today, Bennett, around...
A lot of shitty information.
There's a lot of information around interviewing, right? If you go to Google and you go to, any social media platform and you look up interviewing, there is a shit ton of information around how to interview questions, behavioral interviewing, on and on and on about interviews, right? Unfortunately, there's not a lot of really good information around resumes, and at the end of the day, the primary purpose of your resume is to land an interview. So all that information around interviewing is pointless if you can't get a damn interview, right? And it starts with your resume, and I've created a free course online that you can go and learn about everything you need to know about a resume, about how to develop a resume, where the resumes come from, how to construct your resume, what are hiring managers looking for in a resume, how to rank and order and score your bullet statements. If you want a recruiter-ready resume, look no further. 7dayresume.teachable.com. You can enroll. It's free. Go check it out. It's 7 days. I broke up the course so you can basically take in information every 7 days, but you don't have to wait 7 days. You can literally burn through this course all in one sitting if you want to. It's got some handouts. It's got some quizzes in between each video or in between each training segment to kind of test your knowledge on this. If you have little information or knowledge or experience around resumes, this is well worth your time, and it's free. I don't understand why you wouldn't do this, but the market out there, you're looking for a job right now, and you want to set yourself apart from all the other candidates that are also applying for those same positions. You need something that stands out, and this is the best way to do that. 7dayresume.teachable.com. It's the number 7dayresume, all one word, .teachable.com, and the link will be in the show notes for this as well if you want to go check it out. But that's what I recommend, man, and I always extend this to anyone that it's applied for my position that has a shitty resume. I say, here, go at least touch up your resume because you got an awful resume, bro. It just is. Awful. Now, here's the thing. I'm not claiming that I am the end-all, be-all, de facto resource for resume writing, but let me tell you this. If you haven't been shown or taught anything about resumes at all, then there's no better place to start.
It's at least a good starting point.
It's a good start, right? Go through my complete course and change it to make it your own, however you want to, where you feel good about it. But if you want a starting point and you don't know, or you've gotten, this is what I love, you've gotten guidance from your uncle's sister that happens to hire one person every 7 years, or you get some guidance from a professor at your college and university that is has 20 years of tenure at that college and hasn't had to apply for a position in 30 years or something. I don't know. Maybe it's time you start getting some advice from people that actually hire people often, or has dealt with mentoring recruiters and hiring managers on the right candidates. So I don't know. Up to you. You could take your advice wherever you want it, but I would definitely say this would be a good place to start.
For sure. Agreed.
All right, man. That's it. Shameless plug. And it's not really shameless. It's not like I'm making money on this thing.
No,
I created it because the reason I created it is because you and I both mentor in Veterati, right? And we've had many, many people reach out to us and they struggle with resume writing.
And here's the craziest part about this.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of success stories though. Mm-hmm. True. But more people that you hear crickets from.
That's right.
But I can't think of any that I've seen execute on this that failed.
No, me neither.
At least that we hear about. So I guess we only hear about the successes, right? But,
right.
Because why is anyone going to celebrate a failure? Except unless you're us.
Yeah,
it's like failure porn, right? in this freaking society that we have right now.
Right.
But at the end of the day, give it a shot, give it a try, because it's no joke. And people, we've been out of the military longer than we were in.
That's true.
And we understand the way real businesses work at this point.
Yeah.
Not just because we are in business, but because we've been business.
Yeah.
On multiple fronts, whether we're cutting down trees that we're not qualified to cut down.
Yeah.
Or, totally getting into a sector that you have zero freaking business getting into, and then learning trial by fire.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So it can be done, but god damn. So
don't reinvent the wheels, I guess what we're saying.
No, yeah, don't. And you know what? You have the skills, and if you don't, they're not that hard to get. You just have to do the time, to put in the time and get it done.
That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You never see the success stories, it's overnight success. It's not winning the fucking lottery. It doesn't work that way. It's so unrealistic. So don't be that guy. Don't be that girl.
Yeah.
You got to do the work. Period.
Do the work.
Yep.
That's it. Cool, man.
And sit in a shitty diaper.
Sit in your shitty diaper.
Yes.
I love it.
It'll train you and teach you a lot. So
As like some Zen master's advice too.
yes. Sit on your rock in your shitty diaper.
All right, man. Good discussion.
Yeah. See you next week.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you for listening to Change Your Point of View podcast. Pull up a chair and get a seat at the table and be a part of the conversation. Connect with us over on Facebook at our closed Facebook group called Change Your POV Squad. Let us know what you think of the show, good, bad, or indifferent. We'd love to hear your thoughts.